Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing my product review for the 30-inch Frigidaire gallery wall oven and convection microwave combination. When I started building this studio here, that was the first thing I put in my shopping cart, and it sat there for a few months before I bought it. Did it live up to expectations? Watch this video and find out. So you ready? Let's get into this. Just a quick note, my reviews are based upon the things that I think are important. That might be a little bit different for you, so what I recommend doing is after watching my video, you watch a couple of other videos made by different content creators. That way you get a wider range of likes and dislikes and testing criteria. That in turn should help you make a more informed buying decision, and that is the most important thing of all. This is the Frigidaire Gallery 30-inch wall oven. You got your main convection oven right down here, and up top you got a dedicated microwave. One special thing about this microwave is that not only does it do microwaving, but can also do convection baking as well. That comes in pretty handy if you just want to do something small and you don't want to bother with the big oven. But it does have some major limitations as well, which we'll go into in just a few minutes. This is designed to fit into a 30-inch cabinet, but they do have a 27-inch version as well. They make two versions of this, one with regular stainless steel, and then this one with the black stainless steel. The cool thing about this is the black stainless on this is smudge proof. Technically, it's not really smudge proof. If you try really hard, you will smudge it, but it's nowhere near as bad as a lot of other stainless steel appliances you may have had in the past. In fact, if you just look at this, I didn't really clean it up or anything for the video. It just kind of stays this way on its own. One thing about this black stainless steel surface, as long as we're talking about it, is that this is a regular stainless steel surface with a black stainless coating over the top of it. That's pretty typical with a lot of appliances, and that's something to be really aware of because it means you can scratch this surface off if you're not really careful. In fact, if you look right here, I do have one spot where I managed to scratch the black stainless surface right off of here. I did that while I was installing it, and it came right there from my ring. That is definitely something that you need to be aware of, and if that right there freaks you out, you might want to get the regular stainless finish on this instead. We won't really get into the external measurements on this because the measurements on the outside of this aren't the same as the measurements that you would need to install the oven. If you're thinking about picking one of these up, then the product page will have all the cutout information that you need, and in my personal observation, those numbers are really accurate. However, we can measure the inside so you can see exactly what you're getting. If I open up the microwave portion up top, you can see that this is actually a pretty wide opening. In fact, you can stick a half sheet pan in here and it'll work just fine. So as far as measurements go, for width, you're talking about 19 inches, and depth on the microwave is about 15.5. As far as the height goes, we got 8.25 inches. You can see that's got a turntable in here, just like every other microwave on planet Earth. And you also have a microwave safe shelf. So you don't necessarily have to take this out when you're using the microwave function, which is a nice plus. The shelf has two different levels that it can go on. I'm on the top level right now. I can take this off and I can move it down. And there it is on the bottom level. The heating elements for the oven are right up top here. I don't know how well you can see those on camera, but they are definitely there. And in the back, you can see the fan for the convection oven. Down below, we have the convection oven, and this has a couple of cool features. Obviously, all of these racks are adjustable, and you can put them on whatever level you want. In fact, there's 7 different locations that they can be in. The inside dimensions of the oven are about 25 inches wide, and from the back to the front, we're talking about 17 inches. As far as the height goes, we got about 16.5 inches of clearance. Included in the oven are 2 of these standard racks, just like this. Has an integrated grab portion on the front here, which is kind of nice, I guess. The oven also comes with one shelf that's on a slider like this. This is going to come in really handy if you're doing something like roasting a turkey, because when you pull the thing out to do any kind of basting or anything like that, it really is a pain in the neck trying to slide that pan around. Having this function right here, it's going to make that a lot easier. This last tray that I have right here is actually an optional tray. This is a Frigidaire air fry tray. This didn't come with the oven. I had to get this separately and it cost about $35. So at the very least, I thought that this should have been included with it, especially considering the fact that the oven does have an air fry mode on it. Some brands include these and some don't. Frigidaire definitely does not. But at least I guess it wasn't that expensive. Looking into the oven, you can see the big convection fan in the back, and again the heating element is right on top here where my hand is. One thing to note about the convection fan is that it's very, very quiet. In fact, it was surprisingly quiet. My last convection oven happened to be a Frigidaire Gallery range. That had the same air fry function on it, and the fan had a really high-pitched whine to it. I got used to it, it really wasn't that big of a deal to me, but the fact that this is much more quiet really is a welcome change. In case you didn't notice, there's an indentation right down here in the bottom, and that's for you to pour a little bit of water in for a feature called Steam Bake. This is the control panel right here, and the entire surface in this area is glass. Remember what I told you before about the smudge-proof black stainless steel? Well, this is glass, definitely not smudge-proof, so you're gonna get fingerprints all over the place on here. Functions on this thing are really easy. You got the light button, and that just turns the lights on for both the microwave and the oven at the same time. You've got your timer feature right here, and that's just to run kind of like a kitchen timer. Right over here is the on and off button. That beeping is really super loud. You can actually adjust that in the options over here, which is welcome because it's ear splitting. And right up here, it's a back button that just kind of makes you go back from whatever you were doing. So if I was over here into the cook modes and I hit back, it'll put me back on the main menu, which is right here. When you're on the main menu, you have two different options. You got microwave and you have oven. Microwave obviously controls the microwave. Oven controls the oven. When you're in the microwave section, first you have a quick start area, which by default is gonna run your microwave for 30 seconds at full power. You can hit the plus to add time, or you can just click right on the time itself, and then you can set manually exactly what you want here. When you're doing it manually, you do have the option to change the power setting as well. You got presets for 50%, 80, and 100, or you can set it to a custom level as well with a slider. In addition to the normal quick start microwave setting, you have a couple of buttons over here as well. First, you got cook with time and power, and that basically is the exact same thing I just showed you, except we're not going through the quick start. Really, all that's gonna do is save you a couple of seconds. I thought that was a little bit on the redundant side. Next, we got cook with preset modes. If you go in there, then we have a whole bunch of different things that you can cook. You've got rice, vegetables, frozen vegetables, bacon, popcorn, there's a defrost setting, a soften, and a melt, reheat, and top grill. Top grill is a lot like broiling, except not quite as extreme as a broil. And if you go into each one of these settings, some of them have additional settings. Like for instance, you got reheat. There's like different types of things that you can reheat in here. Popcorn will let you pick several different sized bags. If you're doing something like fresh vegetables, then you have different types of vegetables in here as well, because obviously it's a little bit different cooking carrots versus cooking potatoes. And also there's some additional stuff that I thought was pretty cool, like the rice feature. And with this, you can just take dry rice and you can steam it right in this machine. Evidently, the only option is 2 cups. In addition to the microwave presets, we also have a convection button down here, which is something you only get with convection microwaves. This is a really cool feature, and it's one of the main things that I got this particular combo oven for. So if we go in here, then we can use this as a full convection oven. By the way, some of the presets that I showed you before are actually convection oven presets. So those cover all of the functions that the microwave can handle, not just normal microwaving functions. Anyway, to use the convection, all you gotta do is set your temperature, maybe 375 or something like that, and then we can start her up. Once you do that, this will go into preheat mode, and the thing will start beeping at me once it gets to that 375-degree target. And if you're listening right now, you can hear the convection fan. Not super loud at all. Keep in mind that I got the camera right up against this thing. If we want to control the functions on the oven, then that would just be up here where it says oven. Again, we have that quick start function right here that operates the exact same way it does on the microwave, except with the oven, it actually gives you an option to have cooking time as well. That's something that's not on the convection function of the microwave, and I don't know why it's not there. If you want to bake something on top and you want to keep track of the time, then you have to use the timer function in addition to that. It doesn't just work together automatically like this does. That was weird. I don't know why it works that way, but I guess it is what it is. If you listen now, you can hear the convection fan going in the main oven, and that's actually much more quiet than the one in the microwave. For the other functions on the oven, we have custom preheat, which for me is a little bit weird because I don't know why I'd want to preheat the oven to a different temperature that I'm going to cook at, but it's there. Then there's a no preheat function. I don't know, let me know down in the comments if you ever bake anything without actually doing a preheat, because I really never have. The only other option we have here is the oven modes. In this, we got bake, convection bake, air fry. The no preheat thing is back again. Slow cook, convection roast, broil, cooking in multiple racks. So if you're baking on 2 racks, it'll make some changes to the temperature and everything for that. Steam roast and steam bake, which I was talking about the tray when I showed you the inside of the oven before. A delayed start, so you can set the number of hours this will wait before it starts cooking. A keeps warm function, 2 cleaning options, and the food probe. This is the probe that comes with the oven. It's a little bit kind of on the short side here. I would have liked that to be a little bit longer. And if you want to use that, you just open your oven up and this plugs in right there. So really, I guess it's not too bad. It really does stretch over pretty far. And with that, you would just stick this into your meat. And since this is on the inside like this, it'll close right over the top and you're good to go. Now the oven modes has some pretty cool little features in here. For instance, if I wanted to go into slow cook, right there, we got some different options. You got dehydrate for making stuff like dehydrated fruits and vegetables or beef jerky and stuff like that. A regular slow cooker function, bread proofing, and sous vide. So those are pretty freaking cool to have on here. As far as all these custom functions go, slow cook is the only one that has additional options within it. Now for the one major critique that I have about this oven. Originally I thought about getting an actual double oven because I liked the fact that I could cook 2 different things in 2 different ovens at the same time and be a little bit more productive. Instead I went with the combination microwave oven that's got the convection function in the microwave. That way I can still do the same thing, right? Not really. With this oven, you can't run the convection bake on this oven and on the top oven at the same time. It says right in the manual that you can't do it, but it only tells you that one time. What makes that even worse is the fact that the oven won't prevent you from trying to do it. Just for shits and giggles, I tried to do it anyway to see what would happen, and about halfway through the preheat, it popped my breaker. That could be a real issue because this is a 40 amp appliance, and the breaker that I use is a 50 amp. That means I was pushing more than 10 amps past the maximum rated power of those wires to my breaker. Remember, breakers don't pop immediately like that. They gotta build up heat and stuff before they'll actually go. So there's a chance you can have serious problems with your electrical system if you ignore those warnings.
You serious?
I don't get why the oven let me do it. It should be crying at me all day long telling me that I can't do it or the function shouldn't work at all. If anybody from Frigidaire happens to watch this video, I really would like to talk to you and find out what the reasoning behind that is. Hey, by the way, if this is your first time here and you want to learn some cool new recipes, get some great cooking tips and tricks and all sorts of other kitchen related things, then start now by subscribing to the channel and clicking the notification bell so you never miss a thing. Anyway, on to the testing. The first thing I try to do is use the popcorn preset on the microwave. The popcorn presets are just large, medium, and small. I put a standard size pouch of microwave popcorn in there and set it to the medium setting. Then I just let it run for the entire cycle to see exactly what would happen with the popcorn and if it would get burned or under popped or something like that. The medium setting ran for about 4 minutes, so I was a little bit scared that it was gonna burn up all my popcorn because it seemed like a long time. But during the cycle, you can hear the microwave adjust the power up and down a little bit a few times. And when that popcorn got done, it came out really great actually. I didn't have any of the popcorn overcooked, which is what I was mainly afraid of. And once I removed all the popcorn, you can see that there's really not all that many kernels unpopped in there. In fact, it's probably a little bit less than what I normally see. And I kind of feel like the unpopped count has a little bit to do with the brand that you're using as well and how much oil's in the package and so on and so forth. So for that, I was really happy. Next, I went on to the baked potato test. If you've ever cooked your baked potatoes in a microwave oven, they do actually come out really great that way. I cleaned 3 potatoes, put them on a plate, and threw them into the microwave and used the baked potato preset. The preset only gave me options for 2 and 4 potatoes, so I just set it on 4 and let it run the full cycle. When it got done 10 minutes later, the potatoes looked really, really good. All 3 of them cooked really evenly, and I didn't feel like I had any overcooked or dried out parts on any of the potatoes. Next, I made a couple of packages of Pillsbury croissants. For these, I split them up and cooked half of them in the microwave with the bake feature, and the other half I cooked down in the regular oven. That way, we'd be able to get a pretty good comparison between the 2 ovens and see exactly how well they came out. Obviously I had to run these two tests separately since you can't run the two things at the same time, which is really irritating. But I did give them both the exact same amount of time to bake just so we can get a really good comparison between the two. If you look at the results between the two, they're almost indistinguishable. I would say honestly that I think the oven probably did a slightly better job than the microwave did. I just feel like the color was a tiny bit more consistent, but the stuff that came out of the microwave portion was really good. In fact, if I just mix them all up, I think you might have a pretty hard time discerning which one came from where. Moving right along, I did a cookie test. Same deal, I split the cookie dough up, and I cooked some with the bake feature up in the microwave and the rest with the bake feature down in the oven. Basically, I ran this test the exact same way I did for the croissants. The resulting cookies came out even better than the croissants did. In fact, if you're looking at these, there's no way to tell between which cookies came from where. They're all cooked perfectly, they're nice and even all the way across the pan, and really I couldn't be happier with the way they came out. The fact that that microwave can hold a half sheet pan really did make the test even easier. The next test I did was for broiled salmon. I just took one side of salmon and cooked half in the top and half in the bottom. On the main oven, I used the broil feature. I broiled the salmon for just under 10 minutes and pulled it out, and you can see here that it's got a really nice broil all the way across the top. The salmon was cooked exactly the way I like it as well. No complaints there, it did a fantastic job. For cooking the salmon up in the microwave though, I had to do a couple of things different. For whatever reason, there's no actual broil feature in the microwave portion, so I started it off on the top shelf with the convection bake feature, and then about halfway done, I switched that over to top grill. The reason I didn't just use top grill for the entire thing is the fact that even on the top shelf, it didn't quite get the salmon as close to the heating element as I'd like it to. So I just did sort of a hybrid cook to see how it would come out, and the results are pretty outstanding. In fact, it came out just as good as it did in the main oven. The last dual test that I did was a pizza test. So I baked a 9-inch pizza in each of the ovens. Again, since that microwave has so much space in it, I was able to take a full 9-inch pizza and bake it in there without having to cut it down. I ran both ovens for the recommended amount of time on the box, and then pulled them out with the same amount of cooking time just so we can compare the differences. If you look at the pizza that came out of the lower oven, it's almost perfect. You can see that on one side it is slightly darker than the other side. It's really close, but there is a tiny bit of a difference there. So it wasn't absolutely perfect. I mean, the pizza was cooked really good and everything, and I was happy with it. But if you want it to be exactly even, you may have to either use the convection feature, or you may have to rotate the pizza a little bit. When I took the pizza out of the convection microwave, it was a little bit different. On top, the pizza looks really good, and it's actually a little bit more even around the sides. But if you look at the bottom of the pizza, it's not quite crispy enough. So for the convection microwave, it's going to take a little bit more time, which is a little bit surprising because I thought that since the oven's smaller, it would take less time, not more. I did 2 additional tests just down in the oven. First, I used the air fry feature to make fried shrimp. This is one of the things where this oven really shines. I took 2 full pounds of breaded fried shrimp and I was able to spread them out evenly in one single layer all the way across that big air fry tray that I got. Since I was able to spread them out really far like that, it means there's no having to stop the oven, take out the tray and rotate your food or anything like that. You can just leave it in and let it go. When it got done, the resulting air fried shrimp was really, really good. Everything was cooked really evenly. There's a couple of spots that were a little bit darker on the sides, but that's kind of to be expected. But I really couldn't be happier with the result. It was really good and it was much more convenient than using a dedicated air fryer. The last test I did was for making beef jerky. To do that, I used the oven's dehydrate feature. I used the air fry tray in conjunction with one of the standard trays, and I was able to make 2 full pounds of beef jerky all at one time. Basically, I just marinated my beef overnight and set it to dehydrate for about 12 hours. As far as beef jerky goes, the amount of time you're going to dehydrate really depends on how you like your beef jerky. I like it pretty dry, so more time is better as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, by the time it got done, the resulting beef jerky is just as good as any beef jerky that I've ever had, except this time it was more convenient because I was able to do it all at one time, and it also came out really even for me as well. The dehydrate was one of the surprise functions that I got to take advantage of on this that I didn't realize the oven can do, and I think it might be my favorite because this beef jerky is fantastic. Overall, the Frigidaire combo wall oven is a really cool appliance. I really like it a lot, and it really does have a lot more function than I originally thought it was going to. However, not being able to run both ovens at the same time really is a pretty major flaw. That's something to think about, and for a lot of people it could definitely be a deal breaker. If you'd like a little bit more information about the Frigidaire Combo Wall Oven, I do have an Amazon affiliate link for it down in the description of the video. If you buy anything through those links, I do make a small commission, but it doesn't change the price that you pay 1 cent. Hey, Joe's Phenomenal now has channel memberships. For most people, you can see a join button down below the video window that you can click and see what type of perks I'm offering. If you're using an iOS device, you might not be able to see it, and if that's the case, I do have a link down in the description of the video as well. If you like this video but you're thinking more of a slide-in solution, I did a review right here for the Frigidaire Induction Air Fry range. That range had to be left behind when I sold my old house, and I've missed it ever since. Well, that's it for now. I hope to see you back again here really soon, and until that time, I'm Joe, and I hope you have a phenomenal day. Take it easy.